Okay, I was going to go directly to the table, but I forgot to. I said, let me show you this first. All the parts have now been put on clips. There. Let me get that ready for priming. So I'll put it to the side here. Here are the darker blue parts. Same thing. But here are all the tubing for the umbilicals, but these are for the umbilicals for the head. Now, like I mentioned before, the guide tells me which one I have to use. However, for the neck piece, it's the same. It's the same number 10. No, L1. Sorry, L1. 10 on each side. Even though each of these, and I'm not going to take this off, each of these has that little angle that goes around, it's not specific for each area. So that's technically easy. Very easy. However, what's not easy is the fact that these are different numbers. You have 2s, you have 4s, and supposedly I thought I saw a 3 and 3s. And where did I put my other base? Okay, here we go. Now, right here. So you'll see which one goes to which. And you have the guide here. So you have 2 of the number 3s, 3s of the number 4s, and then 2s, and then 4s, and then 2s. Now, how am I going to separate this and know which one is which? They're all almost identical. I had a hard time finding the right parts for the pegs, the skewers for this, because these have the pointy ends while the others have the solid flat ends, and the solid flat ends don't go in pretty well on these holes. Luckily, I have a stack of more skewers, which I'm going to have to use it like this on each and every one of these, kind of like what I did with that. The only difference is there's no clip on it in the bottom. But there lies the problem. How do I distinguish what from what? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to take a marker, and I'm going to mark it. I'm going to do 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I should have enough here to mark each one how many that I need. I'm actually buying more clips for future builds, of course, but that way I can put the 2s here, the 3s here, and then the 4s here, so that way I can clean them up, paint them, and then take them off and put them on the tubing. That is the only way I can figure out how to get this done properly. Let me continue on, and then we'll go to the table and begin painting. Alright, just finished priming all the parts that are for the dark blue and light blue, as you can see here. And I am going to take black primer and do a little pre-shading. I'm going to lower the PSI down a bit. Good. That should be okay. We'll start with this one first. It's coming out a little too much. Let me just clean up that nozzle a bit. That's good. Let's do that again on this one. Okay. Let's do this foot. I'm going to start with the area that I cleaned up here. Even if it's a little thick, that's fine. Hey, be very careful here. Yeah, it's a little too thick here. I think that's alright. Okay. Just mix this up a bit. I should thin it up a bit more, but nah, I'm gonna stick it up. Now, let's see how I can do the inside. This was going to be a little difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a little bit of thinner here. No, sorry, paint first, and then a little thinner. See if it can, it'll flow out more smoothly, just a little bit. And granted, it is a bit. It is a point. I think it's a 0.5 needle. If it was a 0.3, that would be not a problem. And as you can see, it's a little too much. All right. Hopefully, when I spray paint the blue, it will cut down. It's too much. Now how to do this one. This is the tough part. I'm going to do a little bit inside. Just want to get this. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. You get that sometimes happens with appreciating, and I'm using the wrong airbrush. I should have been using the thinner one, but now that I have it here, I'm not gonna kill myself for that. Appreciating should be done with the thinner, with like either 0.3 or 0.2 airbrush. I have to even it out now, so that way. And there's going to be a lot of blue that's going to be on top of us. Let me just do this last one here. This one I'm going to actually paint black, because when I paint the next color over it, it should balance out a bit with the tone. And speaking of balance, hold on a second. I'm going to show something here for a second. Let me put this back here. I want to show you something. So here are all, and if you guys can see that, that would be great. Let me just make this a little bit farther back. There we go. Okay. So here are all the piping that goes into the Gouf Custom. These are the thicker ones. I have the thinner ones here, which I've already painted black. I couldn't do appreciating with this. This is even how small this is. So I decided to paint all the smaller ones black, and I'm going to paint the bigger ones black too. Because I pretty much have a lot here. Oops. Now I marked each one of these with the marker because there are three types of numerization of the parts. There was the number 2, then number 3, and number 4. And in the guide that's in the actual manual, it'll tell you which numbers you go in corresponding to the order. Now, I had to get skewers that I had left over, mark them with 2, 3, and 4, and now I'm going to prime each one of them black so I can paint the glue over it. And then once they're dry, I'm going to then of course assemble it and pick the corresponding nut numerization, because there's actually just no way to paint this. Because right now I put it on the skewers not to paint it, but also to sand them down to look, because there are these num marks there that's very small and minute. Somebody said that putting on the tubing on a Zaku is difficult. This is even more difficult, especially if you get the older Zaku 2 and I think it's Zaku 2, because you have not only the umbilicals on the head and the waist, but also the leg armor. This is one of the most challenging parts of the kit, is the actual piping of the Zaku and Gouf units. This is a lot of work, of course. But eventually what's going to happen is, once I'm done with this, I'm not throwing these skewers away. I'm actually waiting for a supply of alligator clips, and I'm going to use this for the alligator clips for the future. So, waste not, want not. Let me finish priming, and then we'll get to painting the colors.